Professor Dr. Cynthia A. Di Mayoga, and beloved classmates, good day. My name is Mr. Marnel M. Bolio, your discussant for today's video lesson. Ma'am Christine Mimoran discussed about the overview of perennialism philosophy. But how are we going to apply the perennialism philosophy to our learners? How does the classroom of a perennialist look like? And what is the contribution of perennialism to K-12 curriculum? These are just some of the questions that will be discussed as we go on in our topic about perennialism in education. Are you ready? So, let's go!
Welcome to our lesson, which is all about perennialism in education. Before we start, let me solicit your idea or opinion on question flashed on screen about perennialism that we were taught during our college years. You are given 2 minutes to write your idea or opinion in our chat box. I will read to you the question. How is perennialism applied in your classroom? Cite a specific example. So you are given 2 minutes. Time is up. Thank you for your participation. The whole discussion of this lesson will focus on the following lesson outline. What is perennialism? Aim of perennialism? Curriculum of perennialism? Perennialist method? Role of perennialist method? Implication of perennialism and education. So what is a perennialism? When we say perennialism, it is a teacher-centered philosophy in which it is the responsibility of the teacher to ensure that students gain cultural literacy and learn about the greatest achievements in the greater field. To clarify, perennialists suggest that the focus of education should be the ideas that have lasted for centuries, believing the ideas are as relevant and meaningful today as when they were written. So, itong philosophy na ito ay very classic and traditional. Perennialism is an educational philosophy that importance of certain works transcends time. Perennial works are those considered as important and applicable today as they were written and are often referred to great books. Common example of great books are Melville's Moby Dick, Shakespeare Macbeth, Dickens' Great Expectations, and Dante's Inferno. What is the aim of perennialism in education? The central aim of education should be to develop the power of thought. To develop power of thought, internalize truths that are universal and constant, and to ensure that students acquire understanding about the great ideas of Western civilization, and ensure students acquire understanding about great ideas or potential for solving problems. This is the most conservative, traditional, and flexible philosophy. Perennialism stimulates students on how to think critically and thoughtfully, cultivating the rational mind. And the Look Up School as an institution designed to develop human intelligence. What is the curriculum of perennialism? The school's curriculum should emphasize the recurring themes of human life, focuses on attaining cultural literacy, stressing students' growth and enduring disciplines. The curriculum should focus on great ideas that have survived through time and related to present-day challenges. Perennialists believe that reading is to be supplemented with mutual investigations with teacher and minimally directed discussions through the Socratic method in order to develop historically oriented understanding of concepts. When we say Socratic method, it is a form of cooperative argumentative dialogue between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to draw out ideas. Perennialism curriculum also has less emphasis on vocational and technical education, but more on the humanities. Remember, its emphasis has less emphasis on vocational and technical education, but more on humanities. Sa makatuwid, itong philosophy na ito ay hindi pinapahalagahan ng skills pang vocational or technical ng isang bata. The focus is more on humanities. Perennialism maintains that education involves confronting the problems and questions that have challenged people over the centuries. Thus, there is a need to study classical tradition of great books like the one I've mentioned earlier, like Shakespeare's Macbeth, Melville's Moby Dick, Dickens' Great Expectations, and etc. On what subjects or topics perennialism can be applied? Perennialists stress a strong liberal arts curriculum that includes subjects as philosophy, mathematics, history, geography, political science, sociology, theology, languages and literature, physical and life sciences, fine arts, and humanities. If these subjects are highly studied and mastered, then you completed necessary training for a well-developed intellect. A combination of all these subjects construct a well-rounded curriculum. Perennialist method. The education must be subject-centered. The method of study would be reading and discussion. As I've mentioned earlier, the education in perennialism is very classic. Ang method of study is reading and discussion, which is a very traditional approach. What is the role of perennialist teacher? The teacher must be a master of discipline. The teacher has the authority and expertise not to be questioned. The teacher has all the ability to discipline the students, and his or her authority and expertise is not questionable. Why his or his expertise should not be questioned? Because he or she has to teach great ideas to develop power of thought. How does a classroom of perennialists look like? The classroom is teacher-centered. Teachers are not concerned about students' interests or experiences. The classroom of a perennialist. Orderly rows, neat or clean room, rules strict but without mercy or grace. Perennialist classroom aims to be closely organized and well-disciplined environment, which develops in students a lifelong quest for the truth. For example, reading, writing, speaking, and listening are emphasized in the early grades to prepare students in later grades to study literature, philosophy, and history. In mathematics, the basic MDAS or multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction are taught in early grades to prepare students in later grades to study problem solving, mathematical equations, and etc. The student, passive listener, active thinker or learner. The students in this type of education is a passive listener. They are listening without reacting, allowing someone to speak without interrupting, an active thinker or active learner. So if someone is speaking, they listened, or if their teacher discussed the lesson, they all pay their attention. As you can see on screen, these are the diagram of a teacher-centered philosophy. So as you can see, the diagram of perennialism is a teacher-centered philosophy that transfers knowledge from generation of teachers to the next. The teacher curriculum focuses on the importance of reading and will often use the underlying reading lessons to make a moral point as sample classroom activity. Teachers and schools succeed when students prove, typically through taking tests, that they have mastered the objectives they learned. The diagram shows that perennialism is at the center of all areas like curriculum, sample activity, role of teacher, goal of students, and so forth and so on. To further explain this, let's proceed to the next slide. So as you can see, when we see focus on curriculum, it is about universal and unchanging truth, to espouse personal development and internal transformation, to search and disseminate the subjects based on the universal and immutable truth. History, science, language, mathematics, religion are examples of the subjects. The sample classroom activity is, for example, in science, indoor experiment. So, role of teacher, instill respect for authority, perseverance, duty, consideration, and practicality. Act as a director and coach of intellect respondent. Must deliver clear lectures, coaching, and critical thinking skills. So the teacher here should have a clear lectures or deliver a clear lectures to his or her students. He's a coach also in critical thinking skills, so he has to throw a lot of questions that is applicable to challenging or to recent times. Goals for students, train the students' intellect and moral development. So there's still moral and intellectual development. Able to discipline themselves. So while teaching morality or teaching intellect to students, they have also the discipline, or they will discipline, they will have to instill in their mind the discipline. Then will gain the ability to develop a full range of rational powers. The educational leaders proponent are Robert Maynard Hutchins, Mortimer Adler, and Jacques Maritain. What is the implication of education when it comes to perennialism philosophy in education? So perennialism represents a conservative theoretical view centered in the authority of tradition and the classics. So centered in the authority of tradition and the classics. So mostly it's traditional and classic approach of teaching. Truth is universal and does not depend on the circumstances of place, time, or person. It should be universal, constant. To sum it up, with our lesson for today, perennialism is a teacher-centered philosophy. The aim of education is to develop power of thought, internalize truths that are universal and constant. Focuses on attaining cultural literacy, stressing students' growth and enduring disciplines. And Perennialist stresses a strong liberal arts curriculum that includes subjects as philosophy, mathematics, history, geography, political science, sociology, theology, languages and literature, physical and life sciences, fine arts, and humanities.
To reflect on our current curriculum, kindly please share your idea on this question. Can you share the contribution of perennialism to K-12 program of DepEd? Write your idea on our chat box. For your comments and questions, kindly please drop in our chat box as well. We will try to answer your questions as much as possible. Thank you so much for your participation. Again, I'm Mr. Marnel M. Bolio, your discussant on perennialism in education.